Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to the seventh edition of Business Opportunity Over Chai webinar organized by Franchise India. We extend our thank you to attending this particular session. We welcome our panelist, Chairman Franchise India, Mr. Gaurav Maria, and our MD, Ms. Sonia Chaudhary, for this particular session. They'll be sharing their insights and feedback on overall industry and how this particular situation we are coping with. Today we are representing you the brand Tupperware, a known brand for everyone, every Indian. Today we have Mayank Gupta who heads retail for Tupperware to take us through the entire journey of Tupperware. Here I welcome Mayank to take it forward. Thank you so much everyone.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you for the welcome note. And I would really like to, thanks Gaurav and Sonia for giving us this platform to showcase the opportunity to a larger audience and, take you all through the kind of opportunity we want to present to the audience. So Tupperware is a global leader. Everybody, I think every Indian, whether they have bought Tupperware in past or not, is aware of the brand. Everybody knows the equity of the brand is very high. The brand perception in the market per se is high. And a brief note about myself, if I talk about, I have spent my last 13 years in retail in handling brand expansion and improving brand profitability in various brands across industries like Bata and Royal Enfield. But I feel the kind of essence and the kind of ethos this brand carries, a very few brands in the globe carry that kind of an ethos. So Tupperware started in 1946 in Orlando, US, right, with a global turnover of 2.07 billion dollars. So we are a big, giant in the kitchenware and the homeware industry, and we are, the most premium kitchenware and the homeware brand across globe. So in the Tupperware brand corporation, if I talk about, there are 5 more brands which are a leader in their respective categories, like Avon, Fuller, and Nuvo, 3 being the biggest of them. So when we talk about Tupperware, the first thing that comes to mind is a woman who is selling a Tupperware. So we don't want to, the purpose of the brand is to cultivate confidence in women, right? Nourish the families and, fuel the communities. A large part of the organization's revenue goes into the CSR, into the, into the upliftment of the communities. So corporate excellence, if I talk about, we have been recognized by a lot of, organizations across globe, whether it is UN Women, Guinness Book of World Record, Forbes, and then, we are also among the Fortune most admired companies across globe. So Tupperware products is what, stand out everywhere. And we have, we keep receiving a lot of awards in terms of design. And this is, some of the examples of the awards we have got in the recent past. That is the Red Dot Award, German Design Award, Product Design Award, and the International Design Excellence Award. So these are the awards we have got in the past for our design and innovation. So Tupperware advantage, if I talk about, apart from a known brand, a global brand which is known to every individual across world, the biggest advantage for a brand, for a product of a brand like Tupperware is the rigorous, quality standards. The quality standards remain same whether the product is sold in US or it is marketed in Europe or it is marketed in India. Products that make a difference. All the products go through our new product development cycle, that is an NPD cycle, is of close to 18 months. So product goes to a lot of testing before it comes out in the market. Stringent material selection, we do not do recycling of the material and make product from the recycled materials. Accelerated testing, like I said, the NPD itself is of 18 months. So every product, even after the innovation and design, goes for 18 months of testing before it comes out in the market. So let us see the delightful range of products we have with Tupperware. So we have different ranges. So in our terms, we say kitchen essentials, fridge and freezer. But I'll, in a layman term, if I talk about for any individual or a business owner. So one is, the cooking range, which consists of the steel range, which you see in the top left corner, which is the chef series and the inspire series for us, saucepan, fry pans. Then we have kitchen essentials, which we also call prep and cook. Anything which helps in cooking, right? So these are all the products with, for example, chopping, for example, whipping, all these products which are used in chopping and whipping. Then we have the biggest category for us in India, specifically is conservation. Like for example, you can see here fridge and freezer and on the go. So conservation is again split into two, three parts, whether it is dry storage, conservation of cereals and groceries, or conservation of leftover food. So these are all the products which make the conservation very easy for you as an individual or for the customer. And then the microwave, the lunch and the water bottle is one of the favorite products of Tupperware, which is used across globe by the customers. So I was just talking to somebody, and I firmly believe that post this lockdown, this is one of the category which is going to get a very good boost, because people have spent a lot of time in their kitchens in the past 35-40 days, which they never spent earlier. So now they have and with the kind of situation in the market, a lot of people will try not to order food from outside or go out very regularly for dinners or for lunches. So they would prefer cooking at home more. So these are the categories which will definitely get a big boost in terms of upgradation of the kitchens. So let us talk about why somebody should join us as a Tupperware franchisee. So Tupperware is a global leader, like I said earlier, in premium homeware products across multiple categories. Uh, the rigorous quality standards that we discussed, products that make a difference. The products are not unlike any other company. Every product has a different USP in itself, wide range of products, an established and trustworthy name, and global store experience. So all these stores, I'll just take you through the photos of some of these stores, a virtual tour of the outlets. So all these stores, the standard is absolutely same. We maintain the complete same global standard that we have across other countries as well. The returns that we deliver to our partners, so the investment is not very high. I'll take you through the kind of investments we are expecting in terms of taking a franchise for Tupperware. The margin as a percentage and as a uh, absolute value is high compared to the kind of investment we are looking at, and the break even is very quick. So we will go through a couple of cases wherein we will discuss what is the kind of investment we are looking at, what is the margin, and what is that you can earn on a monthly basis, and how quickly you can break even the outlet. So if I talk about as of today, we have 54 outlets which are operational. We started the transformation journey for Tupperware India in August 2019, and we have been fortunate that in a short period of 8-9 months, we have been able to open 54 franchise outlets across India, and we plan to close this year with 200 outlets. So add another approximately 146 outlets in India this year. So let us have a look at some of our outlets. So these are some of the pictures from our current outlets which we have already opened across India. So if you will see, the outlets look very vibrant. The VM is very inviting. The overall look and feel of the outlet is very catchy. So a lot of footfalls we get from customers who are passing by the outlet, and realize that yes, this is something I should enter into and see what is what suits me and what is there for me in the outlet. So the outlets are very vibrant, very catchy. The VM looks very classy, very colorful display. So setting up a Tupperware outlet, apply and submit the documents for the financial check, do the first round of meetings with Franchise India team, site selection. So after, all these things, so we have separate dedicated team. For example, I talk about myself, I am the retail head for Tupperware. We have a separate dedicated team who takes care of the training, who takes care of the business development. There is a separate team who takes care of retail marketing. So at every step, we will support you. So whether it is site selection, there is a BD team at Tupperware who will support you with site selection in case you do not have a property in hand. We will advise, our legal team will advise you on various agreements, whether it is an agreement between you and your landlord, agreement between you and our distributor. We will advise you on the various agreements. Store layout design is taken care by our interior team. Staff hiring is supported by Tupperware by our retail HR team. Merchandising support, we have a separate merchandising team for outlets. who will support you on what merchandise you should keep. This is your category of outlet, your location, your nearby brands, your anchor brands, what kind of merchandise you should keep in that outlet. And then the retail marketing at the end supports you in the hyper local activity, TV and radio ads at the time of launch and post launch. So what you all need to do is to apply, and the company takes care of the balance. So it is absolutely, absolutely everything is taken care by Tupperware. You just have to apply, come in contact with us, come in contact with the Franchise India team, and we will take care of the rest. So if I talk about the value chain, so Tupperware, we have 90 distributors across India who are already present. So all these outlets come under the distributors. So the agreement is between the distributor and the franchise owner directly. So what are the margins? So this is one slide which everybody would be very keen on understanding. What are the margins on the sales? So the base margin on the sale is 37% at which the billing happens. So this is a cash and carry business. This is not a consignment business. This is a cash and carry business. So the margin of the billing is 37%. Then we have a monthly goal-based incentive, which is 3%. So we give you a monthly target, which you achieve, and you get 3% incentive. For the first 6 months of the outlet, this 3% is given by default, even you achieve or you do not achieve. Then we have an audit based incentive. This audit is a visual audit and a documentation audit, which gives you another 2%. So the total earning, if I talk about, is 42%, from the sales of the outlet on the retail sales. And there is no change in your margin percentage during promos and discount. So we do a lot of promos. For example, Mother's Day is coming on 10th. So we do a lot of promos on different events, occasions. Plus, we do a lot of discounts on the slow moving products for your outlet, individual outlets. So all those discounts and promos are borne by Tupperware team, and your margin percentage remains intact. Your 42% remains intact. So let us talk about the investment. So the first investment is in the interiors of the outlet. So the kind of outlet we are looking at is roughly size of 400 to 600 square feet. So if it's a 400 square feet outlet, 2,500 per square feet is the cost of interiors we portray. So this may end up at 2,300, 2,200 also, but 2,500 is what we take as default. So around 8 to 10 lakh rupees of investment in interiors, then around 2 lakh rupees of investment on microwave, refrigerator, music system, laptop, and AC. So what we do in each and every outlet, which I showcased in you earlier as well, we create a dummy kitchen in the outlet to showcase how your kitchen will look like when you upgrade your kitchen with all the Tupperware products. So 2 lakh rupees goes there. Then around 5 lakh rupees of stock, which is the first fill, which is the first buy you do from the organization for the stocks, which is approximately 9 to 10 lakh rupees of MRP stock. And then 1 to 3 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees advance rental, considering 3-month advances there for any property you take, and an average rent we have taken at 1 lakh rupees. If I talk about the average rent, what we have across India is somewhere around 70,000 rupees. So if we take it 70,000 rupees, it will be approximately 2 lakh rupees. And then 1 lakh rupees is the franchisee fee from Tupperware. That is one time. So the total investment will be close to 15 to 20 lakh rupees for any investor. And at the time of the outlet opening, for the first time support, we are also giving 5 lakh rupees of stock as free. Over and above what you buy for 5 lakh rupees, we also give you 5 lakh rupees of stock free at the starting of the outlet. That is the display and the demo stock. So right location, like I said, we are looking at outlets of 400 to 600 square feet, a facade of 10 feet and above. So if I talk about India, we do not have an outlet with less than 12 feet of facade. High street, if it has to be a ground floor. We are not very keen on properties in the basement or on the first floor. In mall, it has to be as per the zone of the mall. Clear property preferred, because these are a small sizes properties. If in case there are beams inside the property, the VM and aesthetics looks really bad. So we are looking at clear properties without beams. And the rental approximately 1 lakh rupees, which absolutely depends on location. It does not always mean that high rental will mean low margin or low incomes. High rental will also convert into higher sales, because the potential of the property will be higher. Even in case you do not have a property in mind, but you are very keen on investment, please get in touch with us. We will partner with you in finding the right location. We have a lot of broker network who support us in finding the right properties. Staff for the outlet, we are not a very investment heavy or a OPEX heavy model. We are looking at only 2 staff per outlet, 1 male and 1 female. The training and induction of the outlet is taken by our retail training team. We have regular quizzes, regular competitions for which we keep rewarding your staff to keep them motivated, keep them up to date from time to time, and grooming and upkeep. So we will supply you, we will provide the uniform for the outlets, for the staff, so that there is a uniformity and there is a standardization across outlets across India. So stock norms, like I said, the initial buy is close to 5 lakh rupees. So if I consider a sale of 7 lakh rupees for the outlet, so we intend to keep stock of 1.5 to 2 months inventory, which is approximately 14 lakh rupees of inventory. So 9 to 10 lakh, like I said, MRP value you buy, which will cost you around 5 lakh rupees. And then 5 lakh rupees of inventory is what we give to you at the time of opening of the outlet. First fill, one part is what you buy and the other part is what we give to you free of cost. Then it is a regular replenishment. Replenishment is very clear. Whatever you sell, you replenish, plus whatever new products are introduced during that period gets into the replenishment. Our merchandising team keeps you updated on what are the new products that are coming, what is that you should buy, what is that you should not buy, what are the best sellers, what are the slow movers for your particular outlet, so that you have the right product mix at the outlet. You don't end up losing money in the product. And then the safety stock, 4 to 5 lakh rupees, like I said earlier, is the safety stock what we look at. So even if there is no supply for 2 or 3 weeks, you do not go out of stock. Marketing support, like I said, we do a lot of new outlet opening activities. Like if you see the picture in this slide, we do a small activity which is a BTL activity in the malls, in the high street, when we open any outlet to engage more customers in that vicinity. We do one newspaper advertisement exclusively for that outlet. And then the other digital and the BTL activities, like I said earlier, which we do. And then each outlet has its own Facebook page where we boost your pages, where we get in more customers, so that you don't only cater to the customers who are walking into the outlet, you also start doing social selling. You also cater to the customers who are in the vicinity of the outlet but are not directly coming to the outlet, so that we catch them on Facebook and Instagram. So what we discussed in the previous slides, so we have support for you at each and every step of finalizing a Tupperware outlet. Whether it is location finalization, we are there to support you. Whether it is tie up with the agency for layout and interiors, we give you certified vendors with which you can negotiate and get the work done, so that the standardization is maintained across regions and areas. Advise on various agreements. Our legal and finance team advise you on different kinds of agreements that you do with your landlord. What should be the terms? What is that we should look for in those agreements? Training and induction is done by our training team. Pre-launch and post-launch marketing activities, whether it is newspaper advertisement, creation of a Facebook page, doing BTL activities and doing SMS blast in your areas, is all done by our marketing team. Then guidance on visual merchandising. We have a dedicated visual merchandising resource who will keep guiding you on the visual merchandising from time to time. Plus, they will also visit the outlet at the time of setting up of the outlet, initial launch. Then is the retail sales support. So we have a on-ground support team, the regional managers and the zonal managers who take care of the sales on a day-to-day basis, who will keep you updated with what is supposed to be done for the outlet for the betterment of the sales. So overall, we just we'll have a snapshot of how the opportunity looks like. So if I talk about all India, my average bill value currently is close to 2,500 rupees, which we have taken in this example as well. Even if we cater to only 7 customers a day, which is not a very big number for a country like India if we are in the right market, 5 lakh would be the sales per month, the retail sales. The margin is 42%, 37% gross, 2% audit incentive, and 3% target goal-based incentive. 1.7 lakh rupees will be your gross earning without the taxes. The net earning will come to close to 50,000 rupees. I've considered 70,000 rupees as rent, which is our average rent for India. I've considered electricity as 6,000 rupees, consumable as 5,000 rupees, staff at 2 staff, 14,000 rupees each at 28,000 rupees, maintenance 5,000 and miscellaneous 5,000. So even with these expenses, we'll be able to earn, 50,000 rupees a month. This earning can be plus minus 5 to 10% basis the outlet to outlet, basis the expenses they are incurring. But will not go, 50%, there'll not be a 50% variation in these earnings on the overall, if I talk about the pyramid. So there will be different kind of outlet, one outlet with more footfalls and one outlet with a bit lesser footfall. So let us take another outlet. If we add just 3 buyers per day, that is not catering to 7 customers, but catering to 10 customers a day, right? Considering the same bill value, I am not increasing the bill value. The bill value remains 2,500 rupees. The overall sales comes to 7.5 lakh rupees. The gross earning, that is the margin, comes to 2.8 lakh rupees. Right? The earnings drastically increases because your expenses will not increase. The staff will remain the same. The rental is same. The electricity is same. Everything is same. Only the earnings increase. So that is the reason we are also catering to, catching a lot of customers from social media, doing social selling on Facebook and Instagram, so that, how do we increase the customers per day? How do we increase the conversions per day? So this is, the earnings you can do very clearly from your outlet, basis the way we handle the outlet. So if you want to earn more from Tupperware, a lot of people ask, I don't want to settle down with one outlet. I want to have more earning. How do I grow in life? I am not made to run just one store or one outlet. So how do you increase your earnings after opening one outlet? So there is a very good opportunity which we have with us, that is find prospects and open multiple outlets. So what you can do is, once you are in the Tupperware family, like there is a distributor and there are multiple outlets, right? And you are settled, there is a lead time what we take 6 to 9 months, that you are settled, your outlet operations are sorted, you are doing good in your outlet. Then what you can start doing is, you can find prospects in the market who are interested in opening a Tupperware outlet and start opening outlets under you. So this is not an outlet wherein you invest. It is like you find Mayank Gupta who is interested in taking a franchisee. Like a distributor, we give you the right to find more people and, sign more franchises. So you open 3 different franchises under you. So your outlet remains the same. Now you have 3 more people who can open outlets around you in the same vicinity of the market, maybe in the same city, if not vicinity, same city, same district. You can open more outlets. And then once you have more than 3 outlets, we will detach you from your distributor and make you a separate distributor. So you will be called a challenger distributor, and the existing distributor will become the elite distributor, right? So now what is the kind of earnings you will get on the prospects you find and you open multiple outlets in future? So these are the kind of earnings which you can get. Up to 2 outlets, for example, outlet 1A and 1B, you will get 4% of commission on the overall sales of these outlets. From outlet 3, the percentage starts improving. So outlet 3, you get 5% commission. Outlet 4, you get 6% commission. 5 and above, you get 7% commission. We have capped the limit at 10 outlets for an individual challenger distributor and an elite distributor. This is how you can increase your earning without increasing any investments in the brand. So there is no investment what we are looking from you in opening multiple outlets. You have to just find the prospect and start signing outlets under you. So any questions on the entire opportunity? I think you would have a decent kind of understanding on the brand, on the products, on the commercials, what we are looking for, and the kind of earnings you can do from the brand.
So thank you, Mayank. Very well presented. It's a great opportunity. You are a great brand, and we are very delighted to have you on on this panel today. So what we're going to do is Sonia and I will take some questions, and then we'll also take a lot of questions coming in from our audience. So I'll start with the four pillars which I call for franchising, and try to do every opportunity is rated through that. One is credibility, and obviously you have a huge credibility. It's a global brand, and it's been there in market for many years, and run and operate in many countries. And obviously the size of the business itself and the historic performance gives a great amount of credibility, and particularly in these challenging times, investors are looking at only investing in brands which have a strong pedigree and also background. So full marks on that. I think from a scalability of business, and I should really say that both from a single unit and also now what you've created, the what I call the MLM in franchising. So so this is a very big innovation. This is not many people I've seen have done an innovation in multi-unit kind of franchising and use a MLM structure. And I think it can be a tremendous opportunity for somebody to scale. I mean, I was thinking myself, if Franchise India becomes your franchise and we sell like thousands of franchise, how many people would be there? I did my calculation myself, so a lot of franchisees would come under me. While that's not our business, but I am sure if somebody is good in further franchising and developing that, it's a huge scalable business. It's a great opportunity. It is like buying a master franchise where you don't have to pay the fee, but you are just a multiplier. So I think that there's a huge scalability. As far as predictability of the business model, I don't have a problem because you already have a market share. You're not a company which is the third thing which you call it predictability, because you already have a market share and you're just shifting that market share to retail customers. And I think both from a consumer viewpoint, there is already a established business. So I see a great predictability. Again, marks on that. Now the fourth point, which is the what I call sustainability, because while in these times retail cost would come down, so you will get a better rental locations and so on and so forth. And I see from a specialty retail viewpoint, I see also your margins are good, so it's about 42%. While I like you to comment on that 2% of that audit, what you said, and what is that audit? Would it make difference in terms of how this 2% is realized, or it is given on the same time, or it is comes quarterly, or things like that? So that's one part of my question, because it's very important for us to see the sustainability. The second part of the question, which is more difficult for me to understand, this category has been tremendous, and we've done some other brands also which are equally great, or in the home space. I've seen the home space stock to turnover ratios are extremely poor, especially in India, because and you have taken almost like a 6 turnovers of the stock, because even you're doing, so it's like a more like a very fast moving stock turnovers. Are you seeing that? Have you seen that in your business already? Because we have statistics, it shows that the stock to turnover ratios are not so great in a business like yours. So I would like you to comment a little more on how do you see that sustainability, and how do you bring in making sure that the sales cycles are, because it's cash and carry, and the franchisee buys that stock. So would you be able to turn around 6 times the stock to turnover?
See, Gaurav, thank you for the question. So even today, if I talk about, we are doing a weekly replenishment for all the outlets, and we only give them, what they should buy, a weekly, update on the kind of order they should, put in. One, two, at Tupperware, we are not very heavy on the kind of SKUs. If I talk about total number of SKUs which are there, is not more than 200 SKUs across product categories, right? So that is one of the big reasons why the stock turn is good, because the number of SKUs are very high and the sizes are not there. Two, if I talk about a couple of categories like prep and cook, or maybe cooking category, wherein you will see a smaller stock turn because the number of churn of the unit is not very high. But yes, for all the other categories, the stock turn is very high. For example, bottle, on the go, lunch and lunches, the stock turn is as good as 9 for a year if I talk about. So the overall average comes out at 5.5, 6, like you said. One. And just to add, which I missed during my presentation, like you said about the sustainability of the brand and the franchisee partners. So during these tough times, you would have read in the news as well. We have taken a good decision that whatever losses our franchisees will bear in terms of rent and CAM, we will cover the losses in terms of equivalent amount of stocks to all the franchises post the lockdown is over.
So that's a good news. That's a very, very good and very positive. And I think all responsible franchise companies, we are also advising, should take that call to hedge the risk. And that brings my second question. You talked about a little bit of risk. Uh, so we understand there are three parts to any business. The one is what I call the business model itself, which is more income,
Right.
cost, and what kind of profitability, which I think is well explained in your business. The second two things which are equally important is what is influencing your business is next 3 to 5 years. It
Sure.
can e-commerce, your existing channel, which can conflict with your retail channel. So what are the external influences? That's one part. And second, what you've partially taken, what is a risk for an investor in this business? I mean, how do you see? I mean, if you were an investor yourself, and you had to take a call for somebody in your family and things like that, what risk you would see? So these two.
Very candid on the conversation, Gaurav. The only risk that we keep hearing, and what I personally also see, is that the anti-plastic sentiment in India, right? And to cater to that very well, we are bringing in a lot of steel and glass range in India now. So by Diwali, around 15% of our range should be steel and glass. And by the start of the next year, that is Jan 2021, more than 30% of the range in India will be steel and glass. That is the only challenge I see. I do not see, online or our web store as a competition. I always believed that all, the presence across channels, it complements your business in other channels. Two, we are also working on social selling model, wherein we will start, promoting and selling the products on WhatsApp, on Facebook, which will be done by the outlet owners, that is the franchisee, not by the company directly. And we are also working on an omni-channel approach, wherein we combine the stocks across the outlets and give them the benefit of online selling as well.
Very helpful, and I think steel line in India is a big category, and especially when it comes to south and west,
Yes.
it's a very big range, and even east. So that's very helpful. Now I like to invite Sonia to take up questions, and there are a lot of questions pouring in from the audience.
Hi,
Sonia,
thanks, Gaurav. Thanks, Gaurav. Hi, ma'am. Thank you. It was a very detailed and insightful presentation, and I'm sure a lot of worries generally which investors have been addressed. So I'll take up some questions, but before I do that, I have some questions which I like to put forward. A part of that has already been covered, maybe in the last answer that you gave. But just to put a perspective, Tupperware it's a very old company, about 7 odd decade old company globally. In India, it's been about 24 odd years. And we are seeing now, Tupperware coming with physical stores.
Right.
So omni-channel has become the table stakes for retail business. And I see Tupperware not being an exception, and you would jump into it. And now if the approach is to serve maybe a latent demand or maybe acquire new customers, there also has to be reason or a value proposition which a physical store ideally should offer to its end consumers. For me, the question to you is, what is that compelling value proposition for which a customer should come to the store, which is a differentiated experience, in my opinion, which is designed by a lot of companies and brands like you, which helps customers connecting with their ideology, aesthetics, or perhaps the overall messaging. And where he doesn't come only for a transaction, because that transaction part is covered through various other online platforms, or through direct sales that you've been doing over many years, which had been covered. But there's something over and above which this customer is looking at. So what is that value proposition to this customer, which you want to offer through these brick and mortar stores?
Sure. So Sonia, there are multiple ends to it. So the biggest one is, so most of our products are very innovative and priced accordingly. So the customer wants to have the benefit of touch and feel of the product before they end up buying. So in all the outlets, we have a try me table wherein we give a lot of demonstrations even cooking demonstrations to the customer when they walk into the outlet, right? So that is the
Mhm.
biggest advantage of a physical store compared to any other channel. If I talk about, that is one. Two, if I talk about what other benefits the customer has in terms of the VM is one. Number two, there are exclusive offers which are exclusive to the outlet, which are not there with the direct selling. So in direct selling, we do not do many offers. So it is more to do with only their commission, what they get on selling. But at the outlets, we have regular promotional offers and promos to excite the customer to buy more.
Okay, now this brings to my second question. Opening up direct to consumer channel, creates new profitable opportunities for companies and also for the end consumer, better margins and also maybe reach and convenience for the end consumer. But at the same time, it also creates a conflict with their traditional channel retail. And you also have traditionally been a very retail direct sales company. And so in terms of your product offering or the other offerings, pricing, margins, how do you propose to eliminate this conflict across all your channels? One, and how do you also ensure that, these channels are operating smoothly without cannibalizing each other's share? Second, and how to an end consumer, the experience would be seamless. These days we're talking about in-store omni-channel integration, which is the most pronounced, so the customer gets a very completely fully integrated shopping experience. For him, a brand is one identity. So how do you propose these two things in this new model when you come up? One is the in-store omni-channel integration, and the second is the conflict within or with the other channels that you operate in.
Sure. So I'll start with the conflict because this is the biggest one, which comes, which every brand faces when they go a multi-channel approach. So if you see the hierarchy, that is one of the biggest reasons we have kept the distributor intact. So distributor is one who is common across channels. Whether it is e-tail, it is the same distributor who is catering to that area. Whether it is multi-level marketing or direct selling, what we say, it is the same distributor who has the team in that area. And then the outlets are also attached to the same distributor. So there are no conflicts as such. One. Two, the reason we came into this channel, the biggest reason was the consumer behavior has changed over a period of time. The way people used to buy earlier are not buying now. People used to be more convenient with a direct selling lady who used to come to their home and house and offer products, and they give the order and get the product. Now the biggest problem what we get in this kind of a channel for a brand like Tupperware is a lady cannot take out 400 or 200 SKUs and take it to your home or showcase to you. She will take out top 8-10 SKUs and bring it to you to showcase. That was primarily bottles and lunch boxes, which are easy to sell, and the technical specifications are not too high, right? But all other categories take a negative hit. Wherein, so if I talk about retail outlets as a channel, my biggest contributing categories are prep and cook and cooking, which is almost a negligible percentage in my direct selling or my other channels, even e-tail. The biggest reason is these two categories have very high value products. For example, my Black series or an Inspire series, saucepan or a fry pan, the range starts at 5,000 rupees plus. If you want to spend 5,000 rupees plus, you want to have the liberty or have the luxury of talking to the product in person before you buy the product.
Very helpful, Mayank. I have a question which also some of the listeners have asked. That is on the property, which you also talked about in the presentation. I think these days we are seeing a lot of properties, there's a percentage which is 20% of properties in high street and malls, will fall vacant very soon. And maybe this percentage even goes further, as the time of the lockdown or, when retail starts opening up completely. And there was a question which somebody wanted to understand, between all the locations, and you gave some examples of places where the brand exists, bigger space outside malls and high streets becoming available now. Is there a preference of locations that you want to get into? One. Second, as a company, have you already started negotiating with these property owners? And can the benefit of this negotiation or these locations properties be passed on to the potential franchisee?
Okay. So if I talk about the current 54 outlets, among these 54 outlets, 18 are in mall, balance are in the high street. That is one. Two, we have not started the negotiations on the properties because we only want to negotiate a property once we have a probable investor or a franchisee in hand. Then we will start, negotiating. And, and all these 54 outlets are franchisee owned, franchisee operated as such.
Okay, so at this stage, have you identified these locations or places where these properties would be made available, or that search is still not done
No,
at this point
no.
in time? Okay.
So just to add on, Mayank, we have also invited our team from Remax. Remax is the largest real estate network in the country. So we will obviously encourage them to start working with a lot of landlords, because the landlord himself can become franchisees going forward.
Right.
And we have a huge database of all these property owners, and any investor also is there. We are present in about 65 cities. Remax is present in 65 cities.
Great.
So we can also help in terms of doing it. Just to barge in on that. Go on, Sonia, please.
Sure. So I think I was just going through the chat room and I see some questions being answered, but I'll pick up some. Mayank, you talked about different sales in different formats, from 5 lakhs to 7.5 lakhs of sales. And these are the projections that you gave in your presentation. And what is the ideal, revenue or throughput a store would have, from your existing experience of these 54 locations which you currently run, and where I understand you not even crossed or completed one complete cycle of 1 year.
Yes.
And is there a trend which is, maybe the format is same, but some locations perform much better, maybe a mall location is performing much better, or maybe a high street location or a neighborhood location. Out of these, which of the locations are performing better? One in terms of, your top line, and the other, the bottom line. Maybe a mall, the sales are higher, but you have a lot of overhead expenses like your CAM expenses, which affects your bottom line. So I want to give you a little bit understanding to our investors on that.
So if I talk about, like you rightly said, if I talk about the average sales per outlet, the mall outlets, the average sale is close to 17-18% higher than the high street. But if I talk about the, the profitability, overall profitability, our high street properties are more profitable in terms of a percentage profitability than a mall property.
And by what percentage they're more profitable?
You can say around 15, but I don't have the exact number, Sonia, as such, but around 10-15% is the difference. Our neighbor, we have opened around 5-6 stores in neighborhoods, but that has not given us very good result as such. But we firmly believe that neighborhood store, should be the future for a brand like us, because the categories are, very well defined for every kitchen, and we should do very good in neighborhood. And the reason we are very sure about opening outlets in neighborhood and this format would work is our past experience as a brand. So in China, if I talk about, we have 7,300 outlets across China, right? And most of the outlets are in neighborhood and are doing good. So we firmly believe we want to create a similar kind of experience and similar kind of environment in India.
So which means, apart from the locations in mall, you also want to be very close to where your consumer is, which is hyper local. You want to be in markets which are convenience market and very close to your consumers.
Yeah, consumer convenience markets, sector markets.
Great. I have a gentleman called Pareen Gala. He wants to understand, is there an ERP software to know what kind of products are moving from an outlet, to understand, what is the product mix he or she should have at the outlet?
Sure. So I think, thanks for highlighting. I think this is a miss in our presentation. So we have an ERP software which we give free of cost to all the franchise owners. And this software, the license fee is taken care by the brand, Tupperware. And ETP is the, if I name it, ETP is the ERP software which we work on, and which gives you complete liberty of doing everything, that whether it is stock inward, stock outward, managing your returns, everything can be done through the software. What is selling, what is not selling, all those reports are inbuilt. All the promotions, discounts, loyalty, referral, all the reports are there in ETP.
Okay, I have somebody also asking if there's a royalty structure also, which product companies generally don't have. So if you want to answer that, Mayank, we only have margins which are shared with the
So there is no
partners.
royalty as such. There is a one-time franchisee fee, which is also one time, and that is not also applicable on the renewal of the agreement. That is just a one-time franchisee fee of 1 lakh rupees. There is no
Okay.
royalty.
Okay, you did mention about the marketing support that you offer to the franchisee. Is that a percentage of the franchise fees or the overall investment, store size, or is that a fixed amount?
So there is no fixed amount as such, Sonia, and neither it is a percentage of the, whether, if I talk about in a couple of cases, the overall marketing cost goes beyond the franchisee fee. For example, uh, the the activity, the on-ground activity which we do for each outlet is in itself close to 70 to 80,000 rupees of cost. That is one. Plus we do a newspaper ad, which costs, from city to city, maybe 25,000 rupees to 50,000 rupees. Then we do SMS blast in that area. Then we do a Facebook campaign for 15 days. So the overall cost goes much beyond the franchisee fee.
Okay, so is it just at the launch, or these are ongoing marketing activities which
What
the
I
brand
mentioned
does?
is at the launch. Plus, we have a sustenance package wherein we keep marketing the outlets on a monthly basis.
Okay, and just adding on to the margins, because somebody has a question on the margin. There's a 3% which you put as a target of achievement. Now, if you see, all your outlets across are doing a sales between 5 to 7.5 lakhs. So, how are these targets defined? Are these defined based on the format of the store, location where you're in, or is there a standard amount where if somebody crosses that amount, there's a percentage of budget which is
Sure.
given to him?
So, like I said, for the first 6 months, we do not define a target. We give a target, but even if somebody do not, achieves the target, we give them the margin of the percentage of sales achievement. That is one. Two is, there is a very basic calculation in, finding the target for that outlet. One is we take into consideration the kind of, sales anticipation we had at the time of opening the outlet. One. Two, since it starts after 6 months of the outlet, the past 3 months actual performance of the outlet, and what is the kind of sales the similar kind of outlets are doing across India. The benchmark sales, the sales we anticipated, and the sales this outlet is doing for the last 3 months. So it is a very genuine and very logical number. It is not like somebody is doing a number of 3.5 or 4 lakh rupees and we give them a target of 6 lakh rupees. It is never like that. If somebody is doing a number of 4.5, we give them a target of 4.75.
Okay. Great. I have another question which I want to take up. How many outlets are you operating in city tier 2? How many outlets are allowed within a city for tier 2? Because you talked about multi-tier structure where you also have a master who takes units under him. So how many such units within a territory, and especially for a tier 2, because tier 1 is broad. There are a lot of good locations, potential locations where perhaps one can open, but tier 2 or going beyond tier 2, you don't have too many potential locations where one can open. Is there a limit on that?
So what we have done is we have done 2-3 limits. One is the limit is in the kilometers. You cannot open outlet beyond 50 kilometer of radius under you.
50.
50. When you are opening another outlet under you. So if you are staying in Delhi, you cannot open an outlet in Panipat.
Okay, you cannot open.
You cannot open beyond 50 kilometers. One.
Okay.
So we give each outlet an exclusivity of area of 4 kilometers approximately. So beyond 4 and under 50, he can open an outlet anywhere he wants.
All right. I have Mr. Pareen Gala who wants to know, because all your outlets are FOFO, which is franchisee owned, franchisee operated. Do you also propose any FOCO model for your investors?
No.
I have a question, which I think we didn't cover up in your presentation, which is on the profile of the investors. I see a lot of our male, prospective business buyers also on this webinar. And last time, I think in all these conversations we have had with your company, there has been emphasis on women entrepreneurs being awarded a franchisee. And most of your earlier channel and the current channel dealers have always been women who have also now transformed into your franchisees, where these dealers or distributors became your franchisees. If you want to talk on that, it will help a lot of our male audience, who want to perhaps look at this opportunity. One. And second, will there be a difference in the gender if it's a master or a unit? If you're looking at a bigger opportunity, do you want to make that as an exception and we go ahead with any of the two genders, or are we very hell-bent and specific on the gender that we want to award a franchisee on?
Yes, Sonia. So, like we discussed earlier, you are right. We have not discussed this in the today's deck. So, we are associated with women empowerment since the inception of the brand, and we don't want to lose that essence, right? We want to be associated with women at large. One. So, all these, franchisees, what we have currently are women, and we want to go ahead with that format. One, all the distributors as well, if I talk about, are women.
Hmm.
So even if somebody wants to become a distributor tomorrow, it is not like, we are giving a franchisee to a male, but there are a lot of cases wherein there is a partnership company between husband and wife, and they have taken a franchisee. We are good to go with that.
So if I have to add on to that, that becomes a mandate. So any maybe male who wants to take a franchisee of Tupperware necessarily has to have a joint partnership or agreement
Joint
along
partner.
with a female partner.
And see, this helps as well as a brand as the product. The products are more related to kitchen. A woman is, able to convert the customer better, make the customer understand better, and she understands the kitchen better. So it helps in the sales as well.
So I have another question where somebody wants to know what is the minimum lowest sales happening from any of your outlets. This is posed by Ankit Dalal.
Okay. So if I talk about the minimum sales that is happening, see, most of our outlets, if I talk about, have not even converted, covered 6 months for now. But if I talk about the sales which is, happening for our outlet, that is Goa, to name, it is close to 2.5 lakh rupees.
Okay, and somebody also has a question on the ROI. I think they've done some calculation based on the numbers that you gave. They want to understand if somebody does a sale of 5 lakh, and I think he's the same gentleman, Ankit, and with a net savings of 50,000, it'll take at least 3.5 to 4 years for somebody to break even. Is there
No.
any minimum guarantee or return assurance on the investment being made?
Sure. So there are no minimum guarantees or assured returns, one. But Ankit, your calculation is overall right, but you also have to take into consideration the stocks which we are giving you free at the start, which is 5 lakh rupees of stock, which we are giving you free, wherein your investment goes down, one. Two, this 50,000 rupees would be your return for first 8-9 months or maybe first year. Your returns keep increasing over, because the sales will not remain constant over the period of years, right? Your sales will keep growing as and when, customers start getting understanding about the location of the outlet, and you start getting repeat customers. Two, to help you increase sales, we also have a loyalty program and a referral program, wherein any customer refers his friend or family, gets a discount, plus the referrer also gets a discount, right? Wherein we are getting, we'll be getting a very good response post this lockdown period on this. So we have a lot of, opportunities to increase the sales. So this 1.5 lakh rupee or 50,000 rupees of, income, what we have calculated, is for a period of time, not a flat income over a period.
Great. So another question is distribution also available in this opportunity, or are we only looking at physical stores? And if so, how much is the investment for becoming a distributor of Tupperware?
So
by Selva Kumar.
Yeah. So we do not hire a distributor directly. So like I said, you become a franchise, and then you have an opportunity to become a distributor once you open 3 outlets.
So there's no direct distribution being awarded at this stage?
No.
Okay.
So I will have one more question for you, where is the stocks coming for you? Which country you import the stocks from?
So we have a plant in Dehradun, India. If I talk about, and 60 to 65% of the manufacturing happens in India for Tupperware, and balance. So if I talk about Tupperware as large, we do not, buy stocks from the outside. So whatever stock we sell is manufactured in our plant. Maybe India, maybe Indonesia, maybe China. So around 65% is India, what we sell in India. Balance comes from the different countries of Tupperware factories.
So it's good, because this was very important in current times. People think that because of import have not been stable and supply chain not been stable sometimes,
Yes.
It should not impact, because 65% is a very big number. So if it comes from India, so that you are protected. My second question is, today we see a lot of variety retail. Variety retail is a new category which has come in. All these stores called Miniso, Yo-Yo Su, and a lot of other brands available from China particularly. And they also sell a lot of your category. And they have a vision, and they are extremely aggressive in pricing, and because they're kind of a fast retail kind of a model. So do you think this is a challenge? This is because I hear this all the time that Tupperware is expensive, and it is when it comes to a lot of so to say other Chinese products and so on. So it's very Me Too looking products which are available, and because you are a direct sales company, historically you'll always price higher because you pass margins, large margins to the resellers, and in distribution in wholesale the margin is small, so obviously the benefit goes to the consumer. So how do you really see that this going forward you would be able to establish because this has been a challenge for almost all cookware brands, cookware brands, and so on and so
Right.
forth.
See, what we are, trying to do to mitigate this challenge is we are coming up with a lot of marketing campaigns on, on the knowledge of the product, why the product is expensive, why this value proposition works. One, two, the kind of material or the kind of plastic we are using, and so we do not use anything that is not virgin plastic. That is one in the manufacturing, which is a big differentiator from the other brands. Two, we are, if I talk about the plastic bottles that Miniso or the flask which anybody else is selling, like I showed in my presentation, the kind of, design and innovation awards we have got. Just to give you a small example, a thermal flask of any other brand will not, the heat temperature will start decreasing after 1 hour. For Tupperware, any of the flask, the temperature remains constant for 6 hours. Only after 6 hours it starts, diminishing. The temperature starts going down. So there are, big product benefits which you want to, portray or showcase to the customers, by which the value proposition should work.
Another last question from my side, and then I'll let Sonia put our last word because we already run out of the time. There is a huge whenever direct sales companies work, and I know that they do cash and carry business, but they create this what I call market operating price. A market operating price means that sometimes they discount to their buyers and so on and so forth. So there is always never a price stability. And now you have online, and you have your direct sales channel, which is also would be putting things online, and then you have now retail, which is a high investment channel. How do you do this price protection? Because if there is a 10-15% discount on MRP which is passed to consumer, and if the retail also is forced to do that, then absolute margins would come down, and it will put pressure on sustainability.
Right. So like I said in the starting, we also understand there is a huge investment in, when it comes to a retail outlet, opening a retail outlet. What we have done is, you rightly said, there are, some discounts which we offer to the direct sellers. But we always have a promo which is at the outlet, which is higher than what they are getting as a percentage of margin plus the discount they get. One. Two, the products, we have also differentiated a lot in the kind of products they are selling. For direct selling, for example, the products changing every fortnight, right? Every fortnight they have a different catalog to offer, whereas you have a very different range in outlets. For future, we are also working on a strategy wherein you have exclusive products for outlet and you have exclusive products for retail. So the coincidence does not happen.
Yeah, that's very important. I think you need to categorize two different things, because and also another line which is called what I call a little bit institutional line. Say we're buying for our office and bottles for this entire thing, or any other company wants to buy, or there is a large gifting order or something like that comes in. So there should be another line. So I think you need to segregate between what happens in direct sales, what happens in retail, what happens in institutional sales.
Yeah. So we are already in a process of doing it. I would not say we have done it 100%, but we are on track of doing it. By the end of this year, I think we should be sorted up completely.
Yeah. So final, also one point comes in, because you will always have a cash and carry business, which is the nature of the business you have. So there will be a little bit of a dead stock while you will continue to do correction, but there will be a dead stock. What happens to that dead stock? Because I've never seen any retail which, I mean, even if you are an FMCG, you still have some dead stock. So what happens to dead stock? Franchisee uses at home?
See, as a policy, Gaurav, we do not have a, stock correction as a norm, one.
Okay.
But since all the outlets are associated with the distributor, they can, obviously get the stocks corrected with the distributor internally. That is one option. Two, we do a lot of, discounting on the slow movers, which are there for the outlet. Which takes, and like I said, the overall number of SKUs are close to 200. It is not like, you have 200 SKUs and every month you are bringing 20 new products. That is when the dead stock starts, accumulating, and it gives you the pain. And, the new product introduction is not very high. It is not like we are, bringing in 20 products a month. A new product in a month is not more than 4 or 5. So the dead stock as such is not a problem for us till now. But yes, we are also working on a policy wherein we can introduce some kind of stock corrections at the end of the year, but we are not through with it yet.
Or maybe an outlet model for Tupperware where at least dead stocks can be transferred and they can sell out, or something else happen.
Maybe after we have 1,000 franchise outlets, we can start an outlet model.
Maybe yes, very soon, because I like your multi-level approach in franchising. I will do a proper article on this, that how a multi-level franchising is a great innovation. We've been thinking of this model because this is actually a model which is what called area developer model,
Yes.
which was done by Subway very successfully globally, because you become a franchise and then you continue to either open yourself or bring entire thing. But they are not product companies. So product companies, you get a share out of the whole value chain, which means that if I was in Delhi and I take your franchise and I do 50 other franchises under me, and then 4 to 5% of all the sales out of each outlet becomes a big
Becomes a
multiplier.
big number.
A big multiplier. That I think our audience should think through, especially the ambitious entrepreneurs who think that they can really create a big business for themselves. They can start with one outlet and then go out and find like-minded people and create a chain under them and make a sizable business on that thing. There was another question with somebody from Nepal. Is Nepal doesn't come in your territory? If there is an audience, somebody is in Nepal. It comes in India or doesn't come in India?
No.
So it will be helpful if you find anybody in Nepal counterpart who can work with them, or if this is not open as a category, then they can reach out to obviously the headquarters. Okay, Sonia, your last few questions.
Sure, Mayank, I think we have many people asking many questions, and these are very specific to the locations they come from. And some of them also have properties. They have somebody from South who has a property, wants to know for Kolkata, Odisha. So different locations people want to know, they are keen. What we can do is we can take up these questions one-on-one post this webinar, where I would request Archana. She takes up with all of them independently with a detailed discussion. And as a closing, word from my end, I would say that, Tupperware as a brand, has been a brand which is a legacy, and it is a brand which has become a generic for plastic, so to say, like many other brands like Bisleri or Band-Aid, that's what Tupperware for everybody in India. It no more feels like an international American brand. And today businesses are being judged very real time on how they're managing the current challenge, their behavior, and also a lot of choices which businesses make in these times, and all that helps our audience on the call, and otherwise also take a very informed decision on the business they want to buy. So your presentation was very helpful, and not only being vintage, which is 72 years old, but I also feel Tupperware is also a very relevant brand, and how you as a brand have evolved over these years for the changing business environment, and the model that you've come up with, low cost, which helps people secure income, if not very high returns, strength of the people behind, and also capitalization of a brand at large, your own system, and how as a company you've also managed to hedge the risk of the investor in these times. I feel all these, add to, give maybe Tupperware a heads up, and adding a level of pride in the brand people attached to. So, we wish Tupperware a very best of luck, and we look forward to be a part of the journey in which you want to maybe open, I don't know what number you said, about 1,000 stores in the next 2 years or 4.
Yeah, so in the next 2 years, if we talk about Sonia, we intend to open 1,000 stores. We want to replicate the model that we have done in China. China has 7,000 stores and all are profitable. So we are very sure that yes, India has potential of, if not more, then at least yes, 2,000 stores is what India can accommodate very easily.
Great. And, I think it'll also help us with our business and franchising. We look at brands like you, which are highly scalable, they're dependable, brands we can trust. So I feel there's enough for everybody, for you as a brand, we as the catalyst, and, people out there who want to buy business. So wish you all the best, Mayank.
And
Thank
Mayank,
you. I wanted to, I think, say something.
I was saying that we should only copy a lot of things from China, only business things. We have started copying this not so wanted things also.
Certainly.
We should leave China on other things, so only good things we should copy from China.
Yeah, absolutely. The working SOPs.
Yeah, so absolutely, it's a good business. Just to summarize for our audience, at this particular time, if you decide to buy a franchise for Tupperware, they would hedge your risk. They give you minimum performance guarantees so that if the sales is low, also you're not losing money. For a special case, they're also giving a 5 lakh rupees of stocks as free when you start up this business. There's a lot of marketing which Tupperware is giving. It's a great for an operator franchisees. I would like to see husband-wife teams open up these stores, work themselves, create the last mile consumer experience, connect with the communities. This business is good business. This businesses would make you feel happy. You're dealing with a respectable brand, and you're giving a confident product to your consumers, and you're making money. So from Franchise India side, I feel that we are fully backed Tupperware as a brand, and if you want to reach out to us or the team at Tupperware, please write to us. And Mayank, it would be good if you also put your email ID for a chatbot. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can write down. And Archana, Mayank, your final word, and then Archana can do a final note of thank you.
I would like to thank both of you, Gaurav and Sonia, for giving us this platform to, to showcase the brand, to showcase the opportunity to a larger audience. That is one. Second, I think, the questions which came are, were very sincere and very, logical questions. And this will also give us good insights on, making some alterations in our presentation deck so that we give more clarity to the future prospects.
Thank you. Archana, your final thank you note.
Sure. So thank you everyone for pouring all the questions. In total, we got 54 queries from your side. Thanks to our panelists, thanks to Mayank for answering most of them. However, some are, since they are related to the location, we'll definitely get back to you. So Mayank, thank you so much for this detailed, delightful presentation to all of us. We'll definitely get back to you for tri-party calls with all the interested investors. Thank you so much, Gaurav sir. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for your suggestions, for your feedback, and taking this to the another note. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Archana, for putting this all together. Kanika and Kanch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Best
so
wishes
much.
to each one of us. Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you,
Stay
Dheeraj.
safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.